August 12. Had my face dressed and slept like a baby during the day. At night, brigade reported once more that we held a line of connected posts, and again we went out to try to strengthen them. My party started to wire the Merriway post and barricade the road, and Day went forward with a party on the right. When he got forward to where our wire should have been, he found a German party well dug in, fully 100 yards more forward than they were expected to be. He turned a gun on Day's party and threw about a dozen bombs at them, but he got all his fellows back with only 2 casualties, and these were brought in later. On my side, the covering party was so nervous as to be absolutely useless, so I sent them back, and after that my own revolver was the only cover which the men had. I was crawling about some 50 yards in front of the party when a light went up and I spotted 3 Huns crouching in a shell hole with a machine gun. I had no bomb, so I went back and told the infantry officer, but he wouldn't do anything. We ceased work about 25 yards away from them. We found the mutilated body of an infantry officer who was killed on the 11th, and brought it in, on calling at HQ. On the way back, we were informed, as we now knew to our cost, that our posts were all much farther back than was at first thought, and in some places the Huns were even on the near side of our wire. But for our great good luck in getting bombed, we should probably have gone out and wired between the German outposts and their main line. I have seldom known the line to be in a more chaotic state, and I think one more attack would just about put us beyond the count. Everyone is nervous, and no one knows where anybody else is. August 13. Went out after dusk with an infantry subaltern to try to get in touch with a post reported to be on the left of the Merriway post. We groped about without success, and eventually saw about 20 figures moving about in one of the camps behind us. They were not more than 30 yards away, so we took them for men from the post we were in search of, and did not challenge. Presently they began to move away down the hedge towards the German lines, and my companion remarked that they were going a long way forward, as a German post was known to exist at the corner. Almost immediately afterwards they began to run and disappeared into a trench about 50 yards away. Soon after this we found our own post, and they reported having no men out and having seen no one. There was only one possible conclusion. We had been in close touch with a strong German patrol, which had been moving about with the greatest audacity at least 50 yards behind our lines. Very unpleasant to think about. Then we took a few of the better men and went out on a hunt, but found nothing. It was impossible to wire because of very frequent lights and heavy machine gun fire. On the right of the track we could find neither Huns nor our own people, and it appears that Brigade HQ don't really know anything about the situation at all. It is in a mess. About 3 a.m. the Huns put down a heavy barrage but didn't come over. August 14. Had a night in bed, the 3rd in 6 weeks. Heard that my infantry friend was killed, just after I left, by our own shrapnel bursting short. Hear also that I have been recommended for a DSO. For the scrap the other night. This is the 2nd time, and it is now some comfort to be definitely sure that they will never give it me. I would like to get something just for my father's sake, but for myself I should almost hate it. We are here to do a job, not to earn medals for the sake of being gushed over by silly, simpering women who could never understand. It is a hard creed and difficult to stand by at times. Vanity is very strong. The following shows roughly some of the main points in the Merriway fighting. August 15. Started to wire from the barricade towards the right in order to join up with Day, who was working from the other end. Got to our first post, but could get no farther, as there was a strong German post across our line. Day bumped into this from the other side and was driven off with 2 casualties. I was lying down listening when the Huns fired into Day, and was surprised to find I was not 10 yards away from them. They sent up a light, and I could see about 10 of them, as plainly as daylight, all looking along their rifles. I dropped a bomb into them and departed, but if we had known they were there we could have collared the whole lot. August 16. Was relieved at Merriway, and spent the night wiring in the right sector, quite a rest cure. August 17. Wiring again in front of County Camp. Shelled off the job 3 times, and had 2 casualties, so decided to work the wood instead. Shelled again. August 18. Quiet night in the wood. Slowly and surely I am breaking up, and now I am so far gone that it is too much trouble to go sick. I am just carrying on like an automaton, mechanically putting up wire and digging ditches while I wait for something to happen. relief, death, wounds, anything in earth or hell to put an end to this, but preferably death. I am becoming hypnotized with the idea of nirvana, sweet, eternal nothingness. My body crawls with lice, my rags are saturated with blood, and we all stink like the essence of putrefaction, rotting for the third time. And there are ladies at home who still call us heroes and talk of the glory of war. Christ! Last night something went wrong in my head. A machine gun was turned on us, and instead of ducking, I remember standing up and being quite interested in watching the bullets kick sparks off the wire. Day pulled me down into a hole and has been watching me ever since. If ever again I hear anyone say anything against a man for incapacitating himself in any way to get out of this, I will kill that man. Not even Almighty God can understand the effort required to force oneself back into the trenches at night. I would shoot myself if it were not for the thought of my father. Oh God, why won't you kill me? And the pity of it all is this, that nobody will ever understand. It is hell to be able to see these things, but in 2 years, I know it will all be forgotten. It is over. They will say, we must forget it. It was so terrible. The world will go back into the old grooves, without honor, without heroism, without ideals, and these dear, darling fellows of mine will be factory men once more. Even now, Hardy's sister is selling matches in Ancoats, and my sister would refer to her as that woman, yet Hardy and I have saved each other's lives. And if I live, they will say, poor old beggar, he isn't much use now, he had rather a bad time in the war. And they will pity me once a month when I am ill, or, worst of all, if my vitality should come back to a certain extent, I will appear quite normal, and they will call me a slacker if I don't take part in games. I, who once captained one of the best rugby teams in the north. Perhaps they will even be so good as to make allowances for me, and they will call me dull and morose and cynical, and even priggish, but I keep myself aloof from them. And the ladies for whom I gave my strength and more will leave me for the healthy, bouncing beggars who stayed at home, even as nationally the neutrals get the good things now. And there are thousands worse than I. May we all die together in one final bloody holocaust, and before the peace bells usher in the realization of our fears. And then, on howling winter evenings, our spirits might ride the cloud-rack over these blood-soaked hills, shrieking and moaning with the wind, to drown the music of their dancing, so that they huddle together in terror, the empty-headed women and the weak, nadiated women and the weak, known-out men, as we laugh at their petty, soulless lives. Within a week, I shall be dead or mad. August 19. Very hot today, feeling feverish and weak. What futile words. August 20. Division on our right attacked and captured objectives. 3 lines in the Daily Mail tomorrow. 300 corpses grinning at the stars tonight. In 3 years oblivion. War. August 21. Were, August 21, working on Ferret Farm. On way up Fritz got 6 shells bang into the middle of the parties in the sunken road. 1 sapper and several PB.I. hit, and Day badly damaged in the face with a stone. The Limber horses behaved wonderfully, and one team didn't move an inch, although a shell burst right under their tailboard. Very lucky not to have had lots more casualty. On the track, we were shelled again, and had to pass through heavy gas in the region of the stream. Almost immediately after starting work, Bosch put down a heavy barrage, and we lay on our faces for 3/4 of an hour. Heavy shelling continued all night, with a lot of machine gun fire and gas. Was busy with casualties all night and feel like a corpse myself now. August 22. Beastly hot day, and was tortured to death in the evening by mosquitoes. During this warm weather, one usually knocks about in the daytime in one's shirt, which becomes saturated with sweat, and then dries off again in the cool of the evening. The mosquitoes love the stink, and after dusk they feed on us in millions. There is no respite. You grow tired of killing them, and dawn finds you on the edge of insanity, swollen like a long-dead mule. It is these things which constitute the horror of war. Death is nothing. Wrote a cheerful letter home, saying that I am very well and happy. August 23. Was riding up last night through a strafe, with Day, when a gas shell exploded just in front of our bicycles. We jumped off at once, but before we could get our bags on, we swallowed rather a large dose, didn't worry very much, and carried on with the night's work. August 24. In the morning, bust up completely and spent the day in bed, pulled myself together and managed to get up the line again at night. August 25. Riding home this morning, we encountered a sudden whiz-bang strafe on the road, and Day took a small fragment clean through his handlebars. Rained hard all night and practically stopped work. August 26. Still raining heavily, and we noticed the first signs of the return of the mud era. Surely they must relieve us now, if there is a man to spare in France or England. Otherwise, I am afraid a week of heavy rain would clear the road to Calais. For myself, I am too far gone to pick the lice out of my shirt. I have ceased to be a man. Even my simian ancestors used to remove their parasites. August 27. Still raining hard, but news comes through that we are going to be relieved. As I am the only officer that really knows the forward work, I am to stay and hand over. Only 3 more nights. August 28. Very busy day, handing over all rear work to relieving company. The attached infantry parties returned to their units today. August 29. Company transport left at 10 a.m. For rest area, the sappers marched off at 1:30 p.m. For rest, Asabas marched off at 1:30 p.m. Tonight is to be my last night in the line, I hope, for a fortnight at least. August 30. Oddly enough, my last night was one of the most eventful spent in the sector. It was a misty night, and I was calling about with the relieving officer to show him Day's frontline Koi HQ, when we were shelled fairly heavily. To avoid the disturbance, I made a detour of about 100 yards and got completely lost. Eventually, we heard muffled voices behind us, and to my surprise, when I crawled back to investigate, I found a Hun machine gun post with about 6 men in it. We avoided this and eventually struck our own line about a quarter of a mile out of our course. They handled us rather roughly in the trench, as they believed us to be Boche, particularly as my friend knew nothing about the line. After sitting for 20 minutes with 2 bayonets in my ribs, Miller of the Fusiliers came up and, fortunately, he knew me. Just managed to complete handing over before dawn and got back for breakfast with our reliefs. Left billets on horseback with Daisy as groom at 11:45. Passed through reserve billets and had an afternoon halt to water the horses in a charming meadow just beyond Castle. We reached the company about 6 p.m. at a small village outside Saint-Omer. A very pleasant but a tiring ride. Day and I are living in a large white chateau, steeped in romance from its turrets to its, no doubt, well-stocked cellars. Outside my bedroom window there is a balcony where I can sit in the evenings and watch the sun set beyond Saint-Omer. If only I had my books, I might recapture myself in a fortnight here.